Hello everyone. So I wanted to show you one of the first purchases I made for my new to me 2015 BMW R1200RT. Is this why are you beeping at me? Is this new top box I got. Well, again, new to me. Obviously doesn't match. It is a grayish brownish color, dark tan. It's the color of sand, basically, and it doesn't look horrible next to the Callisto gray metallic, but definitely we can make it look better. Also, you can see it's definitely a little scuffed up here. It's got some reflective tape that could use some replacing, and need to clean up the sticky stuff from the other things. Some more scuffs here, some sticky stuff there, but it all works perfectly. The backrest is intact. It works fine. It just needs a good wipe down of the inside. The rubber seals are all in good shape. Lock mechanism's good. I'm going to go ahead and rekey that to my bike's key. And so I just need one key when I'm going along. Obviously, it's an older style one, so it's not going to do the central locking and the the integrated brake light or anything like that. But for a newer model one that was designed to go with this, the older ones fit just fine. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say with the powered version that has the brake light, you're looking at about $1,800 plus shipping, maybe, and you might also have to paint it unless you just like silver. And then a newer version of this one that was designed for the previous generation RT is I want to say $800 US, and that was still a little too rich for me. So I found this on Facebook Marketplace for $200, which is enough for me not to care about the scuffs and the tape that needs to be replaced and all that stuff. With shipping, and I got some paint. It's probably looking around $300, give or take. So I'm gonna make a video, or maybe a short series of videos, about me trying to do a BMW top case on a budget, painted to match, and hopefully it turns out and doesn't look like a giant mess. So anyway, let you know how it goes. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to switch to a voiceover here because I have over 50 minutes of footage that I'm going to try to pare down a little bit and make it a little bit more manageable and viewable. So the first thing I did was just spray the inside and the outside with just some vinegar and water just to try to clean it up a little bit. It kind of looked and smelled like it's been sitting in a garage for a while, which it probably was. And so I mostly just wanted to get some of the dust and the grime and some of those things off of there, just to make everything else a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. Alright, here we go. Now the fun part. Time to take stuff off and take it apart. The emblem, or the roundel if you want to get fancy about it, it's really just held on with 2 friction pins and some sticky double-sided foamy tape. You could use fishing line, or I've got some minty dental floss here for the extra smell. And those are going to break, but you can saw through the tape and then use some non-marring plastic levers that, like I happen to have laying around, and just gently pry those up. And you can see those 2 pins there that help to align it, but just gently pry those. It will come, but try not to force it too much. All right, then the backrest is held on with 5, yeah, good job, with 5 T20 Torx screws. They're very fine threaded, so you can't mix them up with anything else. And they also screw into some metal brackets inside of the backrest, so you're not screwing into plastic as you are, as you'll see later on, with the hinges. The hinges are metal into plastic, so you want to be careful with those. All right, so that's what I was talking about there with the metal brackets in the backrest. And now for the hinges. Like I said, you want a T25 for the hinges, and they're a coarser threaded screw. But just be careful, you don't want to over torque them because that is metal into plastic. And they're not on, none of these are on very tight. It doesn't take much more than finger strength to undo them. You could have somebody hold the lid for you, or like I think I just have it resting on my shoulder there while I'm undoing everything, but just go slow and be careful so you don't drop it on the bike. I am doing all of this on the bike just because it puts it at a nice height that makes it easier to work on with. You could just as easily take it off the bike and put it on your couch or something. Alright, now as you can see, I've got some old reflective tape that's just about worn off and falling off in places, and that comes off with a whole lot of Goo Gone and a hair dryer and a lot of elbow grease. Same thing with the sticky residue from the double-sided tape, but once you get it all cleaned up, that's what it looks like. Alright, so here's where you're saving some money by doing the labor yourself. I went ahead and taped up the hinges, taped the underside of the lid and everything, used the flat edge of a pocket knife to press it down along the edges, and then I'm going along here and trimming the pieces away because I do want to get just that little underside lip a little bit, so clearing the tape away and cutting it away there. Also go ahead and make sure that you tape the holes where the backrest screws went in, or any other holes where paint can get in. You want to tape those all up. And yes, this is tedious and it takes a little extra time, but this is where doing it yourself, it's not that hard, and you're going to save a whole lot of money over taking it to a shop. Alright, so after all the masking is done, I'm just going to take a Scotch-Brite pad, you know, a 3M abrasive pad, and just going to rough up the surface a little bit so that the new paint, the base coat, has something to stick to. This is probably where I started to go just a little bit wrong. I should have maybe done this a little bit more thoroughly, especially where the scuff marks were. I got a little impatient after this step and got the orbital sander out and sanded down some of the deeper gouges and scuffs and imperfections in the paint, but then I didn't prime over those spots. So if you have a pretty good base coat like this, you just need to scuff it up a little bit with a pad like this, and then you'll be fine. But then I went a little extra and overboard with the orbital sander, and you know, you can see those scuffs there. I tried to level those out a little bit, which was fine. You want to do that, but then I didn't prime over those spots. So if you do go through the base coat, the original coat, you want to put a layer of primer over that area. Alright, and it was some great timing. The UPS guy arrived with the shipment from the website with the paint, and there's my base coat with the factory color and the 2K clear coat in a matte finish, and a lot of extra paper that I can use to mask the inside of the lid. Okay, time for the base coat. Alright, so we already covered my earlier sin of not priming the spots where I had gone through the old base coat, the brownish base coat, and yeah, I'm also doing this outside. I'm doing it on a slightly windy day, and I got impatient and didn't wait for it to warm up enough. So that is my fault. It is not anything against the product itself. I just got impatient. And the only thing I would say about this is I definitely underestimated how much or how little was actually in the spray can. I thought, oh, this is a small surface area. I have enough to do 3 coats. I went ahead and covered everything, that bottom lip. I covered where the backrest covers up anyway, and no one's going to see it. And I probably definitely underestimated how much was in there. There was barely enough for 2 thorough coats. Also, with the lower temperature, that did give me some splatter. And you know, the finish wasn't quite what it could have been. It's not as nice as it could have been. It is what it is. If I hate it after a few months, I'll go ahead and do it again. But it's definitely my fault, not the fault of the product. Alright, so time for the clear coat. So this is a 2K clear coat finish, which means it has the hardener in there, and yeah, you got to put the cap on and then break that seal to mix the hardener in, shake it up for another 2 minutes. If you don't have a respirator on already, now is the time to put it on. And this is maybe where I would try it again a little bit differently. I got the matte finish, which I thought would match the bike's factory finish. But the factory finish has a little bit more of a semi-gloss, semi-matte finish to it. It's got a little bit more shine to it than this just straight-up matte finish does. It looked good after I did some sanding and some polishing, and it still might polish up a little bit more after some washing. But that's maybe, if I had to do it again, what I would try doing differently. Alright, so this is certainly an optional step, but I wanted to have some kind of a fabric or a sticky liner on the bottom of the top case. And there was some shelf liner at Lowe's, at the big box store, and that rubberized stuff, and it was like $18 for a roll of that. But this mat I found here, this indoor-outdoor carpeted rubber bottomed mat, was $8. And so I just rubbed some some sidewalk chalk on the paper after I covered it with paper there, and then pressed that onto the carpet and gave me an outline, or at least a place to start with, and then I could trim it up from there. You could certainly take some cardboard or some paper and make a template of the original bottom and cut that out. But I figured this was a pretty good place to start. Better to have too much and then trim that down than to have not enough that you can't add to it. And worked out pretty well for $8. Alright, let's go back to normal speed. It's all cured and dried. Left it in the garage overnight with a heater. Let's give us a little twirl. And actually it doesn't look too bad from the camera angle here in the garage light. You can see there's some imperfections. Oh, there's a good one on the corner there. But still not too bad. Color-wise, matches the bike really well. It's just a little more matte where the saddlebags and some of the areas on the bike have a little bit more of a shine to it. Alright, time to finish it off and put the roundel back on. And there it is. With some fresh double-sided tape, and you're going to have to press a little harder than you realize. These pins they're pretty good about holding it on with some friction. So yeah, come on, push a little harder, a little bit more, and okay, good, finally on there, and it's back together, ready for a first ride.
And here's the finished product. Now, it's not perfect. There's some paint marks, some drips, some splatters. Didn't quite get all of the gouges out, but I think it looks better. You know, I got that right there, and there's a couple other spots so you can see in the sun. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. You can see I got some swirl marks there, but not bad. So if I had to do it all over again, I'd be a little more patient, wait till it's warmer, And maybe consider doing the satin finish, the semi-gloss, semi-matte. I think it might match up with this just a little bit better. But overall, you know, it's a used bike. It's not perfect anyway. It's not fresh off the showroom or anything. So I'm pretty darn happy with it. So even though it's not perfect, and if it bothers me and I want it to be more perfect, I can always wait until the summer, wait till it's warmer. Yeah, there's a lot of broken glass, and do it again. It's not that hard, and compared to taking it to a shop, it's not that expensive. A couple more coats wouldn't hurt, but overall I'm really happy with it. And I didn't expect there to be a sentimental component here, but I think there is. The lady that I got it from was really nice. It was founded on Facebook Marketplace, so I kind of did a little bit of stalking and looked at her profile and saw that she was an employee of a school district where she lived. So I figured, oh, maybe we're kindred spirits. But anyway, she was really nice and sent me the key and got it all ready to go, answered all my questions. But then she asked me a couple of other questions. She asked if I was interested in a helmet, because she happened to have a helmet, and asked if I was interested in some riding boots, because she happened to have a couple of those, although they were pretty worn out. And then I realized nobody sells their motorcycle parts plus helmet plus gear unless they're done riding. And I didn't get the impression that was her bike, so I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it gave me the impression that she was selling the parts and selling gear for a rider who either is no longer riding or no longer with us. And so in that case, even though this top case isn't perfect, it does look a whole lot better than on the bike than when I first put it on. I'm happy about that, but I'm also happy that there's a little bit of that guy's gear, a little bit of that rider's I don't know how to say this. I guess just a little bit of the riding that guy did, whoever he was, is living on, is continuing. It's at least getting that one part out of the garage and back onto the road. And so, but besides all the stuff that I did to the top case, all the work I put into it just to make it my own, I do already have some sentimental value for that. I feels like doing a good thing and keeping that little bit of a motorcycle, keeping it rolling down the road. So anyway, this is probably a longer video than I meant it to be. I figured it would be better to put it all in one than to break it up into a bunch of parts. Sometimes that gets a little annoying. So if you made it this far, I thank you. Thanks for watching. Be safe.